my senior capstone presentation is the LHS Symphony, and with this I want to be very careful of the wording because there is a very divisive difference between band and orchestra, and then I've come to realize that there really shouldn't be that divide. Recently the orchestra and band have had the combined experience of playing at Kaufman. We had a commissioned piece written for us by Park Hill South conductor, and it was just a really unique experience to be able to play alongside everyone. And so that's kind of helped keep this motivation to keep this thing going and just see what we can create together. So the process of getting this into place was a little convoluted. Originally this was not my senior capstone idea. I wanted to do a composting project that got turned down because it cost too much money. And then I wanted to do a controlled flow of traffic when there was a bunch of construction on the baseball fields, and then kind of got told to put that on the back burner and then kind of see what was necessary after all the construction stuff was completed. And so then kind of revising everything was like, what have I enjoyed during my time here at LPS and in this district? And then like, what is missing from my high school experience? And what can help be provided to other students that fulfills that what is missing thing that was missing for me? And then also like, what is doable? Because the other two things and ideas were not. And then this quote kind of stood out to me as I was preparing this presentation. So that music is the universal language of mankind, kind of just combining all of this ideology of like band and orchestra is still music at its core, and so music can just be celebrated and should be enjoyed by everyone in general. And then music specifically to me gives me an outlet to express creativity. I'm not the most artistic person in the world, but I do enjoy being able to create music alongside others and kind of putting pieces together. It also requires a lot of discipline, time, and effort to practice and perfect this music, and then it kind of provides this extra sense of community that you get to know each other really well. And then again, like looking at what all these things that happened kind of leads me to this idea of creating the symphony. But the symphony has already existed in middle school, so I wanted it to exist at the high school level. I participated in the LPS Honor Symphony in middle school. So this was an audition group of individuals that in middle school, they come together, they rehearse once a week for a couple weeks throughout the year, and they put it on a concert. And so I really just enjoyed being a part of that, and I wanted it to be at the high school level as well. And so kind of looking at this project planning process, gathering interest was a little bit of a challenge just because of the time constraint. We started rehearsals right after spring break ended, and so it was kind of just who all shows up kind of gets to be in the symphony, and then kind of solidifying those rehearsal dates, working with Mrs. Davis. Huge shout out to her. She's been the one conducting the symphony and kind of just running with this idea and kind of just doing whatever I tell her to in the most great way possible. So she's kind of been this really solid support for me. And then selecting music, just due to the limited rehearsal dates, selecting music that would still be challenging to make people want to show up, but then not too challenging to where we couldn't perform it. And then so we have a concert coming up May 9th at 7 p.m. in the PAC. It is an orchestra concert, but the symphony is attached onto at the end of this concert. And so looking at kind of just like making it less a tied to concert and more of its own concert, kind of looking at this future vision and idea, having some winter and spring concerts in the future. Obviously with that comes some more songs because we'd be able to start this process earlier in the year and then perform the pieces later in the year. And then kind of looking at this idea of, do we combine LHS and Liberty High School and Liberty North, or do we kind of keep it separately? And even if we were to keep them separately, I'd like to see it implemented at both high schools. And then I'd like to see it become more of an audition group. Huge shout out to Chamber Orchestra as well. They've kind of just been told that they're playing this piece and kind of just running with it. And then the rehearsal schedule's been a bit iffy. The band kids have helped show up every Tuesday for the past couple of weeks after school for an hour or so and help to rehearse their part, whereas Chamber just gets to kind of rehearse this in class. And so it's definitely more dedication on the band side of things because they're having to show up and put in extra time and effort, and I really appreciate them for that. And then looking at potentially running a class where it's not just an extracurricular, but we have a class with a full symphony. I know Mr. Doss over at Liberty North has talked about it, and then kind of just like it's been shot down a few times in administration level, but just seeing if there's really a push for it from the student perspective, creating this class overall.